All right, you got your drone out. It's a beautiful day, a little windy, but hey, your drone can handle it. You got your battery all charged up. See, I got all 4 blocks there, and you're gonna go flying, and then this happens. And you can see as soon as we connect with the controller, we've got a battery error. So let's go into the app and see what we can learn from there. So the app tells us right on the status screen the battery cell is broken. Please replace your battery. And once we clear this out, you can see it says we can't even take off. So we're going to go into the settings here and have a look at the battery diagnostics page. And you can see here cell 1 is 4.11 volts. Cell 2 is 4.2, so there's a 0.09 difference there, almost a 1/10 volt difference. But that third cell is way off. So I'm almost 0.2 or 0.2 difference versus the middle cell. So that's the main issue there. So I did do multiple cycles on this of draining by leaving it in the drone until it's shut off, and then recharging it probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 times. And ultimately I was unsuccessful at getting the cells to rebalance. And so this battery continues to give me an error no matter what I do. And I figured, well, it is approximately 2.5 years old now. It really probably is time to get some fresh batteries so that I can be a little bit more confident my drone isn't going to fall out of the air. However, this battery is like $100 from DJI. And I thought I would go and investigate to see if there were some third-party battery solutions that might actually work. And I have to admit, I wasn't terribly hopeful because apparently there's a lot of tech in this, and you can put firmware on this battery that gives you an idea of how much more than just a simple battery this actually little assembly is. And so I was a little concerned that a third-party battery might not work, but I did watch a few other videos on YouTube and seemed to get at least some semblance of confidence that I might be able to find a solution. Well, I found some batteries by a company called Fly High, and you actually get 2 of these guys, and they come with these little safety bags as well. But you get 2 of these batteries for the price of effectively 1 battery. So it's about $112 versus $100 for a single battery from DJI. So these Fly High batteries obviously have the same form factor as the DJI batteries, or they wouldn't fit in your drone. So that's kind of a no-brainer. They do look almost identical. This one is slightly, very slightly lighter gray than the DJI battery, but really who cares about the color? The LED indicators are slightly different, but that's really where the difference is, at least physically. That's where the differences stop. Other than that, they appear to be functionally identical. Same milliamp hour rating, but really what we want to know is how long will these third-party batteries from Fly High keep the drone in the air at roughly half the cost versus the DJI battery? And then also, do I have access to the same diagnostic and sort of battery maintenance options from the DJI Go app with these third-party batteries as I would with the DJI battery itself? So we'll find out about all that stuff. I'll kind of walk you through it. And I'm going to take an average, basically, having my low battery alarm set at 20%. Some people put it at 10, some people put it at 30. So I'm just going to do it right in between there at 20%. And I will start and stop the clock in those constraints for both batteries. And we'll just see and compare what kind of flight time we get. Now, I'm just going to hover the drone and let it set. That way I don't have any sort of variability in how I'm flying. So the conditions are basically the same for both batteries. So that's about as simple of a test as I could come up with to keep this from being overcomplicated, and hopefully it will give us a decent idea how these 2 batteries really compare at roughly half the price of the manufacturer's battery. Let's go check it out. All right, we're going to do the DJI battery first. Fully charged. My phone is actually dead, so I'm just going to use the controller since I don't really need all of the other functionality on the phone right now. But let's go ahead and put this in the air. I'm going to hover it right about here and just let it sit, and we'll see how long it lasts. So let me get these things going. But I do have 100% charge on this battery, and let's go see what we've got. All right, The low battery warning is definitely going off. I'm going to bring this thing down. 12:43 is approximately when the low battery light, or the low battery alarm, started sounding. And that is 21 minutes versus the 20 minutes from the DJI battery. So that's pretty good. Now keep in mind the DJI battery is not brand new. It's a couple years old, whereas this is new. So they're both charged to 100%. I guess it's not extremely unexpected that the DJI battery might perform a little bit less than the third-party battery. I suspect if you had a new DJI battery, it might perform approximately equivalent to this fly high battery, or maybe even a little bit better. But so far, I'm actually really impressed with the fly high battery. Let's do this again with the other fly high battery and see if we get a similar result. All right, here's battery number 2. All right, we had just hit the 20% mark. As you can hear, the low battery warning is going off. All right, so again, about 21 minutes, pretty consistent. I will probably run a couple more of these tests here just to make sure I'm consistently getting the same kind of flight times out of these batteries, but at least in this initial test, they do appear to be pretty consistent from one battery to the next. So keep in mind, since I'm obviously just hovering here, I'm doing that so that I'm getting a fair comparison between batteries and also between the DJI battery. But 21 minutes, that's when the low battery alarm goes off. I could obviously get more flight time if I continue to fly with a lower alarm level, but also keep in mind that if you're out maneuvering around and changing elevations, sort of normal flying, you're going to get less actual flight time. All right, let's take a look at one of these fly high batteries. Now I pulled this off the charger when it was mostly done charging. It wasn't quite giving me the finished signal, but if I press the button here, you can see it shows that it's basically full charge. We'll see what the controller shows it as. Let me go ahead and start that up. All right, so everything is talking. So if we look up here, you can see that the battery does show at 100%. So I must have taken it off the charger right before it was going to complete anyway. But if we go into the diagnostics or settings here, and then we look at the battery diagnostics, you'll see this is what a healthy battery should look like. We've got 4.31, 4.31, 4.3. So I've got no more than 1/100th of a volt difference between cells. So this error issue that I had on my DJI battery, I'm kind of curious if anybody else has experienced things like that. I did look in the details in the DJI Go 4 app on this guy, and this is the one I'm having a problem with. And it only had 26 charge cycles on it, and the one that's still working had 33 charge cycles on it. So neither of those have been, extensively used, sort of lightly used over the last couple of years. And the manufacturer date listed for both of these is actually September of 2017. So that's pretty old. That's 2.5 years, full 2.5 years old. So, I mean, even the one that is still performing relatively well, it does give me a little bit of pause about sending the drone out into areas where it would be very difficult to recover or otherwise catastrophic if the battery failed. So I do think that it was probably past due time for me to get new batteries for my drone, even if I wasn't having the problem with this particular one. And the fly high batteries seem to be doing really well. I don't know how much value these little cases add to it. I guess it's nice that they provide these, especially if you're traveling. Helps protect the batteries and make sure they don't make contact with anything and short out and cause a fire. The batteries themselves seem to work just fine. They have the same milliamp hour rating. I think it's 3,830 milliamp hours as the DJI versions. And as you saw from the video, the run times are pretty similar. Now, given the fact that these are 2.5 years old, you would expect, even if they were in peak working condition at that age, that given whatever number of charge cycles are on these, that they would probably give me less airtime than brand new ones would. So, and I think in some investigation that I did, you might expect another 1.5 to 2 minutes of airtime with a brand new battery. So, put that at around, say, 22 minutes or so, maybe 23, pushing it. And that's, again, going to my 20% alarm cutoff. compared to these, which seem to be right around 21 minutes consistently. So you're not getting 100% equivalent runtime out of these, but pretty close, like 95%. And for nearly 50% the cost, I think that's a fair trade-off. And frankly, even when I'm only getting like 18 minutes or so runtime or airtime out of this guy, that's usually more than adequate runtime for me to do what I need to do. So getting a couple extra minutes out of these new ones is just bonus as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, if you found the video helpful, please give us a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Feel free to leave a comment below if you've had some success correcting some of the errors that you may or may not have experienced on these DJI batteries. I'd be interested to hear what you did to maybe correct them. And if you've got other suggestions, maybe you've got experience with other branded third-party batteries, always looking for other options to share with people who view these videos. So consider leaving those comments in the below as well. Thanks for joining us and sticking all the way through to the end if you did so. And we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, have fun out there.